Hello, it's me, T.S. Eliot. The whole time, the T.S. stood for Thought Slime. Barack Obama, who I'm not a big fan of incidentally, was president of the United States roughly 30 years ago. In an interview with, I don't know, who's this guy? Peter Hambly, Obama said these words in this order.
If you believe, as I do, that we should be able to reform the criminal justice system so that it's not biased and treats everybody fairly, I guess you can use a snappy slogan like defund the police, but you know you've lost a big audience the minute you say it, which makes it a lot less likely that you're actually going to get the changes you want done.
And I'm not shocked that he would think that, don't get me wrong. I think it's faulty logic that he's using to disguise the fact that what he really means is you shouldn't ask for things that aren't part of his political project. But he's tapped into the oldest trick in the neoliberal playbook, the same strategy that I feel like I've been complaining about over and over and over. And nobody listens to me because I've cultivated a certain vibe. You just pretend like all the reasonable people already agree with you, and then tell anyone who doesn't agree with you that you're just looking out for them. What you want is impossible, and you're like a little infant for wanting it. And what me and my cool class of friends all agree about is that what you're saying, a little out there. And I don't know why this works so well. I don't know what it is. There's just something embedded into the psyche of us Westerners where we just want authority figures to take us seriously for some reason. We want to be the big smarties, to the point that if anyone else tells us what we're doing makes us look like we're not smart or not serious, that's the quickest way to make us step in line. Now, it's true that a snappy slogan, like defund the police, loses people. Of course, it loses everyone who would be put off by the idea of defunding the police, naturally. The thing people who use that slogan want to do. It's very telling that Obama sees rhetoric not as a method of clarifying policy objectives, but selling them to people. The guy who rose to his presidency on the promise of hope and change, which can mean anything, and thus won't lose people. Now, I will grant you that if you don't say the words defund the police, you may be able to attract allies who don't wish to defund the police. Good job. Those allies aren't going to be particularly useful towards your goal because they don't agree with it. Even if they could be made to agree with it, they never had a chance because nobody acclimated them to the idea for fear that they'd get spooked and run away into the woods. So maybe you could change your messaging, and then people might get on board. And then, once you've got everyone's support, you get some power, and then you do a different thing than what you said you'd do. Because if you said what you wanted to do, that might cause you to lose support. This strategy is called lying. It's not a great one, long term. Or maybe you decide to limit the sum total of your political imagination to what you've assumed most people will already agree with. Forget your ideals or your conscience or whatever naive stuff. You count up all the people you'd gain from a statement, and then you count up all the people you'd lose from a statement, and you only say the things more people like. That's a very convenient way to operate because it means you don't really have to believe anything. It's all just numbers, baby! The downside to this strategy is sometimes most people think some really stinky stuff. If your methodology is just to say whatever you think is popular, and your opponent's strategy is to change what's popular, you end up just doing what they want. Or at the very least, making concession after concession to them until your agenda becomes virtually indistinguishable from theirs. So a thing we might do instead is convince people of the things that we believe in. This process will require us to say them out loud. For example, if I believe we should defund the police, and I do, then I don't think it's a wacky idea for babies. I think it's a good idea for smart adults who read big books. Rather than just hiding that conviction, what I do, you see, is talk to people about why I believe the thing I believe. And some people will not agree. That's fine. Some people will be quite upset. That's fine too. Fact of the matter is, controversy kind of helps get the idea free publicity. Like, the right knows this, right? The right does this with everything. You ever see a right-winger modulate their tone because they're afraid they might lose people? You ever see them walk back their talking points lest they look immoderate? No, they're just out there chanting about killing anyone they think is a secret Antifa or whatever, and huffing COVID farts to prove the pandemic is a hoax. They know the fact that their beliefs are controversial mean they're going to be given tons of free exposure by every necktie on CNN and MSNBC who prattles back and forth about how gosh darn rude they're being. But of course, they won't disagree too hard. That might lose people. So their talking points become one side of the coin, and the other side of the coin becomes, geez, woof, don't know about that one. There's no space to talk about what you want to talk about, only to tut-tut at what someone else wants to talk about. Now, I don't think defund the police is the best possible slogan. I'm sure that if we workshopped it, got a bunch of PR companies on the job, we could maybe come up with a better one. And I certainly don't think it's the best objective, which would of course be to abolish the police and replace them with a more democratic institution that served the legitimate functions people associate with policing without the special privileges and unique class of people that are allowed to shoot you virtually unchallenged. But none of that's important. That's all beside the point. What makes the slogan useful is that people are already saying it. It already has momentum. So you're left with a choice. You can either spend a lot of time and energy trying to stop them, trying to change it, trying to instead get them to say abolish the police or to hide their power levels or whatever. Or you can lean in and use the slogan as a springboard to a more nuanced conversation about the problems with policing. See also, hey, how come you guys call yourself anarchists? That's a scary word. You should pick a new name. And okay, I'll grant you anarchists don't have a very good public image. We could do this. We could choose a new name as some sort of branding exercise. But it's okay, say that we do that. We call ourselves Presented without comment. An uninterrupted cut of how long it took me to think of a punchline for this joke. But okay, let's say that we do that. We're not anarchists anymore, we're peanut butter babies. That's the new name of this ideology. Don't be scared, we're not anarchists, that's spooky. We're peanut butter babies now. The thing is, they're just going to demonize the name peanut butter baby. Maybe not that name in particular because it's too adorable, but you get the idea. Because it's not the name which challenges the status quo, but what that name conveys. Similarly, the tone and word choice or whatever of defund the police is not what people take issue with. They'll swear up and down that that's what they take issue with. That them and you, they're on the same page. But the wording though, I would love to support you. It's just a little out there, you know? You and I get it. You and I get it, but the people in middle America, they don't get it. They're not as smart as you and I, right? What they're really against is the challenge that the statement poses to the status quo, to the cultural norm of police as above criticism or any kind of animosity or distrust. How many of you watch TV shows or movies where the main characters are police, or some equivalent form of law enforcement? How many of you see Reddit threads about heckin' police puppers ripping out people's throats with their little toe beans? How many of you were taught as children that if you're in trouble, you should seek out the nearest police officer? It is taboo to criticize the police as an institution. And like most taboos, it's that way because it protects the rich and powerful, whose interests the police serve. They organize society and culture, so they organize it in a way that makes the institution which protects their wealth and privilege sacrosanct. Any challenge to that institution, even one as mild as, let's give this institution less money instead of all of the money, cannot be allowed to proceed because it creates a dangerous precedent. People might start to think that they should have some say in how their communities are organized, that maybe the people and systems which govern their lives now don't have their best interests in mind. Therefore, it becomes necessary to convince them not only that what they want would be bad, actually, but also that they and everyone else don't even want it. So you're all alone with your weird ideas and you're scaring people. Look, your heart's in the right place, but we can't do the thing you're asking for right now, so there's no sense in talking about it ever and filling people's heads with weird ideas. Every fight that's worth having starts off unpopular. Every new idea that challenges the sensibilities of the status quo will be met with resistance. This is the lesson that history teaches us again and again and again. Abolitionism, desegregation, democracy, women's liberation, gay marriage, free speech, ending apartheid, seatbelts. These things were fought for against overwhelming odds that eventually became less and less overwhelming. Along the way, I'm sure these ideas lost some people. But here we are in the better world they created. Ahead of us, I'm sure there are many more unpopular fights. And we either stand tall in our convictions or accept a world where nothing improves. But we're going to lose people. Where do lost people go? Who is lost and what has become of them, wandering in the dark, getting cold, farther and farther from home? Where am I? How did I get here? They'd say. Until, what's that? There in the trees. You don't see it? It's right there, look! How do you not see it? It's enormous. It's like an eyeball. Oh my God, there's more than one of them. Oh my God, they're all around us. Silent. Still. And now our campfire is dwindling. The last ember is barely providing any light. Can these things see in the dark? Hello and welcome to the Eyeball Zone. Here in the Eyeball Zone, we're all just a bunch of spooky eyeballs, aren't we? Think about it. Wouldn't that be weird? A bunch of eyeballs? Anyway, Ellen Noel made a fun video about how Knives Out calls out the hypocritical performative wokeness of rich white people. I love this movie. I could listen to people talk about it all day. And Ellen does a great job outlining some of the subtle and some of the not so subtle ways that the movie makes clear that the American dream is a lie, told by people who find that lie useful. Do you have a small leftist project you think merits the consideration of Lord Oculon's scouting party? Send no more than one email to thoughtslimeeditor@gmail.com with the word eyeballs somewhere in the description and pertinent details like your pronouns, and maybe you will find yourself trapped here in the Eyeball Zone. Yeah, it's another video in the books, baby. Uh-oh, look out. It's a burglar. The only way to stop him is to like and subscribe. Oh, frig. I'm lying. There's no burglar. I just want you to do that because it helps my analytics. Now I feel terrible. Not so terrible, though, that I'm not going to tell you to go to patreon.com/thoughtslime and give me some money. That's where I go to get my money. You can see these little cartoons. I drew those. These are people that gave me a significant portion of money for some reason. Hey, if you're looking for some YouTube videos, I mean, obviously you can watch the ones on this channel. They are here. There's those. But if you've seen all of them and you want to see some more YouTube videos, why wouldn't you? Then you can go to youtube.com/scaredycatstv where I make other YouTube videos than this, like different ones. Every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I also upload a new video on this channel every Friday. A lot of people don't know that. They're like, oh, wow, another Thought Slime video. Yeah, but there's one a week. I've been doing it for like 2 years. Hey, guess what though? I also do live streams every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and Twitch, twitch.tv/thoughtslime, youtube.com/thoughtslime. Thoughtslime, Thoughtslime, Thoughtslime. What am I going to talk about next week? A Christmas special? Maybe. We'll see if you're very good.